I only practice classical stuff usually, and I just practice whatever concerts are coming up. You know, I don't know if that makes sense.
I think
that totally makes sense.
Let's roll back time a little bit.
Okay.
When you were a student,
Yes.
and I'm not talking about a young student, but a middle-aged
Like
student.
in college.
Yeah, college, high school.
Okay.
What was your regimen like?
In high school, practiced maybe 6 to 8 hours a day. You know. And well.
So after school.
Before and after.
But what were there certain exercises that you always did?
You know, I always you know, even my professor at USC thought it was strange. I never did technical exercises.
Scales?
You know? Barely. I didn't like scales. I refused to do etudes. You know, but I mean, obviously, in my case, everyone's different. It didn't really matter. You know, for me, I learned the technical stuff from the music I was playing because to me, it seemed a little bit of a roundabout way. So in order to be able to play this piece, you should learn these etudes. Well, no, why don't you just stop wasting time and learn the piece, you know? Then you can learn the technical aspects as you're doing that. It might be a little bit different if you're a jazz musician.
Right.
You need to learn how to play all the different scales and all the different modes, you know, so you're able to improvise immediately. That's different. But for the classical applications, you know, where classical music is very regimented, you play it this way, you play these notes, you don't, you know, make up whatever you feel like playing, then it doesn't really apply.
Was there something you played every day?
What is something I play?
Was there something that you play every day, or played every day, or is there something that you play every day now, just as a warm up or something?
No, I you know, because I've been performing professionally since I was 9. You know, so I was always preparing for either a concert or, you know, a competition. I don't really like competitions, but anyway.
Yeah. Gotta go.
Sometimes. Yeah. So it's always a specific purpose. Now for example, when I write my own music,
right.
I write kind of like cinematic new age, I don't know what you categorize it as, but you know, I'll just sit down, I write everything stream of consciousness, so I don't plan anything out, I just push record and I play, and that's, I guess it's kind of like practicing because you're playing, but to me, practice is training your body to become a machine, to be able to express what you need to express without even thinking about it anymore. You know, when I step on stage and I play a concerto for 40 minutes, literally I don't think once, and if I'm thinking about technically what's coming next or my memory, then it means it's not prepared enough. It needs to be so ingrained into your being that it's completely subconscious.
When you're playing your music, do you write it first, or do you improvise?
For which like my music?
Because you just said that I play my music.
I never write it. So it's always
so you improvise.
It's direct,
okay.
You know, and that's an important, like, just like when you're improvising, if you're limited because you can't play 30-second notes at, you know, 200 BPM or something because you didn't practice enough, then you're kind of screwed because you were limited by what you can do.
Oh, but there's a lot of classical musicians.
You're not necessarily screwed.
Well,
your music won't include 30 seconds.
right.
No,
exactly.
Right. But it expands your vocabulary.
Yeah. That's why you turn smoke on the water. 3 points.
No, and it's, I'm not, you know, my music is not necessarily very notey. Like it's being able to have the things at your resources, you know, and then to do whatever you want to do.
It's very important, and it's funny, a lot of things you're saying, I have parallels, and I started classical piano when I was 3, and I've said since I was like 8 years old that I would rather play than talk. Like at a party, if there's a piano, please God, let there be a piano, so I can just sit and do that, because everybody loves it, and then you don't have to think of anything to say. I really like it. But the thing I learned early on, because I was always a really technical player, especially as a kid. I wanted the 30-second notes, you know, as fast as they could possibly be. And it wasn't until my late teens that I actually discovered the word emotion. Because up until then, everything was erased, and that's just, as a young boy, that's just the way I was.
Well, of course, it's natural. You can't fake emotion if you've never felt.
Definitely, and it takes a while. But it's very important, and especially like parents who have kids who want to be musicians and stuff, and young people listening, if there are any, Mike will have to tell me. It's very important in the early years to build that dexterity and get your fingers or whatever body parts you're using to play used to the idea of playing, and you're basically building a toolkit and a palette that you can use later. But you've got to, and classical, there's nothing like classical for building those techniques. I mean, every style of music has its merits, but there's something about classical. It's regimented, there's a right and a wrong answer to what you're playing, and it's very important, especially at an early age, to get some of that stuff into your brain. It'll make you a better player later, even if you never end up playing classical. I mean, when
It depends on the instrument, but sure.
To develop
You get to
muscle
learn-
memory.
Yeah,
muscle
muscle
memory, you
memory,
know,
all 12 notes.
and I would say it does not depend on the instrument.
What?
I would say
12?
that's
You
just
know
a
what?
human
12?
thing.
On the guitar side, I think I disagree. I think jazz is a better way to start than classical guitar.
Oh, I'm not talking about the idiom of music. I'm talking about that you need
Oh,
Not
okay.
artistically,
the muscle
just-
memory.
Muscle, sure.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to build that dexterity
Sure.
because once you have it as a kid, you will always retain some degree of it, even if you're not practicing enough. But
I'm going through that right now.
Well, it's very hard to develop that for the first time later.
Right.
It's easier to get it back.
You know,
But
when
you
you're
ju-
young, you can learn. You know, if you practice shooting hoops for 10 hours a day, you're going to be a really good basketball
Well, it's
player.
funny that you should say that.
I would not actually. I would still be a terrible
No.
guy.
Well,
When I
it'll
was
take you to a
teaching-
level.
Okay.
When I was teaching, one of the things that I always said to young saxophone players was, it's an athletic exercise. You're training your body just like a football
It's
player
absolutely
or a
true.
basketball player trains their body to.
When you switch from a different size of the cello,
Yeah.
do you automatically adjust the?
You mean like when I was growing up?
Yeah,
or-
when you were growing up, you were going from 1/3
Well, I
to
mean,
3/4.
I moved to full size pretty early
Ah,
on, you know,
okay.
just to get used to it. But
Right.
I don't know. I also have perfect pitch, so I play by ear sometimes also. So
That's terrible. I'm sorry.
At what point, what
Cheating.
inspired you
Uh-huh.
from being a traditional classical a musician
Uh-huh.
that you said, look, metal, or alternative ways of using
yeah.
your instrument?
Well, you know, both my parents, they're classical musicians. My father's a cellist. My mother plays violin. Very romantic. They've been together since they were 19, 20 years old. They're still together.
Nice.
They still kiss and stuff, so it's good. But anyway, you know, when I started music, I didn't have a choice. I was forced into it, like most Asians. But seriously, like, you know, you don't have a choice. You're practicing, you know, or else. So I went to college. I was playing classical music, but back when I was younger, I was sneaking in records. I only managed to sneak in 3 CDs. One was Marilyn Manson, Antichrist Superstar. Loved it. And then Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. Because my best friend Tina, her name is also Tina. She had a copy of it. It was a tape, so I had that. And then Daft Punk. I don't know how I got that. So dark electronic.
Awesome
you know?
choice, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of strange because that was my entire musical. Like all I knew was classical and those 3 things, and sometimes the radio. But I had a very, very, very closed childhood, very sheltered, you know. So I've always been attracted to dark things, dark men, dark music, you know, just dark in general, dark chocolate. So then after I went to USC, honestly, I was actually dating a metal guitar player, and I went to a show at the Key Club. It was my first time in a club seeing metal live. But just the raw, like, you know, in classical
Emotional
music, there's a
side.
way to express yourself, but it's like a completely different. For me, it's more ethereal. It's more, you know, heart, soul,
Yeah.
mind, and I mean, of course, you can have that in other genres of music also. But just like some languages are a little bit more adept to communicating a certain feeling or a certain, I don't know, a certain thing. You know, I felt the metal was more like my inner beast, animal, wild woman could come out more, you know. So that's how it happened.
Nice.
Very nice.
So, how often do you play live? As far as how often do you use your electronic rig live?
A lot. You know, it depends. It varies weekly, but like this week I have 4 shows. So, you know, it just depends what I'm hired for. I mean, I do music full time. I play my own music. I play other people's music. You know, so this week I'm playing electric cello Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the classical cello on Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where are you playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
I'm actually playing with it's my first time working with them, the LA Rock Opera.
Oh, okay.
We haven't started rehearsals yet, but that's tomorrow night. And then on Thursday, I'm doing a showcase with the artists who got signed to Disney. They have a new Disney Pearl. It's like an adult contemporary label. So a classical crossover.
Wow.
But very nice, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess the trick is to just like not show up at a gig with the wrong
That's right.
show up at the Disney concert hall with the electric cello and all the amps and
Yeah.
Dressed in
they'd be-
leather.
yeah, they'd be a little freaked out. That would make for good video.
This is kind of random, but I found the people who aren't, you know, in the very closed classical scene are more open-minded to classical music rather than the other way around.
Definitely.
I mean, it's sadly, I have to say that I've lost like couple concerts, you know. I'm not going to say which orchestras, but after they, you know, I mean, they heard my playing, my manager would send them recordings, and then they saw my website, which is not by any means pornography or anything at all, and it's just artistic, you
right,
know. And,
absolutely.
And I'm not wearing, you know, a turtleneck sweater and, you know, whatever, but
There's such snobbery though in that part of the music industry. It's
I mean,
amazing.
it happens everywhere in life in
It
general,
does.
and people are very judgmental. But I think it's, you know, I don't know what that had to do with.
But my
anything.
first memory of people, you know, talking about, oh, this is not music, was actually with a cellist when I was at my only year at the conservatory, when I was 11. I had this discussion over records of Berio and Nono, you know, the contemporary music at the time.
Yeah.
And this cellist walked into the room, said, "What are you listening? Well, this is music from." This is just noise. It's not music. What we learn here, it's music. I said, "Oh, if you say so."
That's the first sign that you should not listen to someone, is
Yeah.
if they say something like
Exactly. But you know, it's my first memory of someone, you know,
Well,
and it
you
comes
can-
from the classical world.
Yeah, music or art. You can argue what's art. If you throw a banana against the wall, is that art? I mean,
Yeah.
everything's art. But is it good or bad, or do people relate to it? You know.
that. You
If it
know,
was bad
A lot of things, but it was actually
Wow.
it happened after an accident, which means, you know, the wiring in the brain.
it means
Yeah.
it's
Oh, yeah.
there.
Maybe if I
It's
hit
just-
you hard enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, one thing that's great about going back to the musician thing, I mean, I know we got to wrap this up.
We're gonna wrap it up, but go ahead.
But you know, because I think you play a lot of guitar, and then I stopped playing, and I'm getting back into it a lot. And what's great is there's a lot of great techniques and stylizations I've been seeing, and my technique I can play. I mean, my fingers know what to do, but I'm trying to figure out the new styles. And as a kid, I never had YouTube. So now that I see
Oh, yeah.
YouTube,
Great.
and I'm sitting there
Yeah.
because I was tinkering around, bought some apps, bought some stuff, and then I went, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like what he's doing. And all of a sudden, I started going and started just picking up riffs.
Yeah.
That's how I learned the electric cello. I watched, you know, all the shredders. Steve
Really?
Vai, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Steve Vai, Moms. I had never heard of any of them before, so that's how I learned. 'Cause
Yeah,
there's nobody to
because
teach
you
you.
sit, but
Yeah.
what's great is you can see the
Okay,
fingering.
we gotta wrap it up.
You know.
He's making faces over
Hey,
there.
Mike, you still there?
No, I'm
Wait,
still
wait.
here, but
You're a rooster crow in the
this is
background.
turning into 103 and 104.
Yes, we are.
All right, it starts here. Actually, the funny thing is there was so much more I wanted to talk about. We just didn't get to it.
Well, that happens.
We're just going to have to bring Tina back
Okay.
and join us again
All right.
because I wanted to talk about recording instruments and I wanted to talk about, you know, dealing with session musicians and all kinds of stuff.
And how you should treat them.
That's right.
No, we didn't want to talk about that.
and then and I promise I'll have coffee next time.
Thanks.
Right.
That was a hint. I'm
But,
glad you got it.
but
Gourmet coffee, that is.
Tina, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you. Thanks
and
for
just
having me. Thank you.
just enlightening us. And like I said, you should check out her website. And is there anything